All right, beautiful. We are back. And of course, it's one day at a time. And normally, whenever we have this segment, it's a time to just sit back and be inspired, sit back and learn, sit back and actually get transformed, even from the inside out by the stories that we bring right here. And today we have a beautiful, wonderful lady who is really strong. I know people don't like that statement, I'm strong, I'm strong. It is through the strength of God for sure. But she's here to share her amazing story. She's opening up about something that most people are very much ignorant about, but most importantly to enlighten us, to encourage us, and also to show us how can we avoid the kidney disease. And I did mention earlier on that this is a conversation that is important. I have someone who is very close to me that has to deal with it, and it's just chaos all the time, and I know that this can really be difficult. And I just want everyone who maybe is going through the same thing, kidney failure and anything related, just to know that they are seen, that you are not alone. And through this conversation, we do hope that you will be inspired to know that you have a sister on this other side who is also walking the journey. So we are not going to waste any more time, but remember, we are also live on YouTube. So this is a show and an episode that you can share and just forward it to people that may really benefit from the conversation. So welcome once again. Our WhatsApp number is, as you see on your screen, 0708 222 323. If you have any questions, comments, you can definitely throw them this way. But let me welcome my amazing guest and let's get started. Hi, Wendy.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for honoring the invitation. We are glad to have you. And maybe you can just start off with introducing yourself. Who is Wendy? What does Wendy do?
Okay, my name is Wendy Mwelu. I am a mom. I'm an early years profession but that's my career. And yeah, I'm a renal patient.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes. All right. I think that statement, when my producer sent me the conversation, I wasn't even sure what it means, because it's not a statement you hear most of the time.
Yes.
So maybe you can open our eyes to understand what does it mean.
So being a renal patient means you have gone through renal failure, and what happens is that your kidneys stop working. And the function of your kidneys in your body is to basically remove waste. That is through urine. They filter the waste from your blood and excrete through urine. And so when that stops happening, you have to go through dialysis, which is now an artificial kidney that now has to go and filter out the waste from your blood. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And at what point, did you know that, this was something that you were going through? Did you have any symptoms before, realizing?
So I went into renal failure as a, would I call it like a side effect, but it was surgery gone south. It wasn't something that happened in a systematic way.
Okay.
Usually, renal failure is caused by diabetes and hypertension. Those are the two main causes. But I went into renal failure because of an infection that I contracted after surgery. Yeah, so I went into it. It was sudden renal failure. It was usually renal failure takes time, and you go through. There are 5 stages.
Yeah.
But mine was sudden. I went into surgery, and in 24 hours, I had multiple organ failure. I was in ICU. I was in hospital for 2 months. And within those 2 months, it's like the hospital did not even know what was going on. Because as I told you, I had multiple organ failure.
Yeah.
So as they were treating the infection, they were trying to revive my other organs and trying to basically find out what was going on. And the management wasn't good, because usually you can recover from acute renal failure, but mine was not handled well. There's a period that you can recoup.
Contain it,
yes,
yeah.
but that whole period when that should have happened, it never happened. My management was not good, and so it now went into chronic renal failure.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was quite sudden.
Yeah. And what maybe prompted you to realize that this could be more than what I thought? If at all, maybe after the infection, did you have any signs that were showing this is a renal failure? What did you experience that, prompted the doctors to realize that there is an issue?
So what happened is within those 24 hours after my surgery, the surgery was uterine surgery. So I could remember from when I got my baby, because I had my baby through CS, and the recovery seemed very off. So I had high fevers, I was in a lot of discomfort. This didn't look normal when I compared to when I had my CS surgery, because it was the same area in my stomach. And one of my friends came to visit me in hospital. And when she saw me, she told me, "You don't look okay." But I could feel, but I thought maybe I'm thinking too much into it. So when she told me, you don't look okay. Even when I talk to you, you're panting. That's when she raised the alarm, and I told her, I've actually not been feeling too well. She said, I think you need to ask your doctor to get it checked.
Yeah.
So when the nurse came in, she took my vitals and she told me, you actually have a fever, but looks normal. But I told her, please just call the doctor who had done the surgery. So when the doctor came, my friend explained to her, and she said, I know this lady very well. She doesn't look herself. Could you please check? So the doctor said, well, by looking at her, she looks okay, but let's run a blood test.
Yeah.
And the rest was downhill from there. Yeah.
Wow.
So when the blood test came, it showed now that I had contracted a very bad infection. It's called sepsis. So they didn't even tell me. So they called my husband and my mom and told them on the side that we need to act fast. Time is not on our side. She needs to be in ICU. Otherwise we could lose her. Yeah. So from there, because now the infection, it takes over your body so fast. And now because my kidneys were greatly affected, they were trying to filter out the infection and everything that was going on. My body was overwhelmed. So usually when that happens, urea builds up in your body, which is a waste. So it goes and interferes with your memory. So for about 3-4 days, I was not myself. So I was not cognizant of where I was, what was going on. And so they never informed me that you've gone into this state. Like my body went into shock. So from there on now, it was my mom and my husband and the doctors now trying to figure out, because I couldn't even explain what I was feeling. So they were working on observation and running tests, and now the tests were showing that there was a lot of urea in my blood. My liver wasn't working, my heart had expanded, like things had just gone off. Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at you and I'm like, it's a miracle.
It is.
That you're even here in the first place.
Yes.
Because I mean, that was so intense.
It was.
Very intense. I mean, it had to take the hand of God for you to even get through it and be here, even sharing your story, because that sounds, I mean, it's a lot happening in one single body and in a very short span of time. Wow. And you just ushered in this blessing, and then now it's a lot of things just happening. But I think it's important now for us to look at now the journey. How long has it been since that happened up until now?
It's been 3 years. Yeah, so that happened in July of 2021. So it's been 3 years.
3 good years.
Yes.
Wow. And now maybe let's talk about the journey now managing this renal, is it renal failure? How do I put it?
Yes, renal failure.
Renal failure, yeah. Now managing it and what needed to be done now after they've realized they've made the diagnosis. What was the next step after that?
So it took actually 2 months of ICU hospital admission for them to come out and tell my husband that we can't manage her. You have to get her out of here immediately and take her to another hospital. Then they had just said that it's kidney injury. So they kind of sugar-coated it because the hospital also feared that had happened under their hands.
Oh.
So they said it is kidney injury, but we have tried our best. You need to move her to another facility. So my husband moved me to another hospital, actually evacuated me to another hospital. It was an emergency evacuation, ambulance on oxygen, with paramedics. It was very dramatic. Moved to the next hospital. The next hospital took over. So the directions were I moved to HDU. And when they received me on the other end, they did their test, they did everything, and they said, you're actually not a HDU patient. They've misdiagnosed you. We don't see, they had written, there was so much. I was on hypertensives, I was on so much that I didn't need. So they said, we're just going to take you off all this.
Yeah.
What you need is, we just need to clear the infection and move you to general ward and continue with dialysis to see if your kidneys will recover. And that is what happened. And I was in the other facility for a week. Of course, changed doctors. And the doctor who was seeing me then said, there's actually nothing wrong with you. It's just your kidneys that are not working. We'll try and recoup by doing dialysis and clear the infection. Otherwise,
good.
Yes. So that's when I started now walking the journey. By then, I was actually not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
And I thought I could recover. So I left the hospital, went for dialysis 3 times. And after a month, still no change. The doctor said, let's give it 2 months, still no change. Then we did a scan and the doctor said, your kidneys have actually shrunk. So we can't recover this. The damage was done. Yeah.
And I think it's in the delay of the misdiagnosis and all that.
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes.
And even the fear, because now doctors, that's like 2 wrongs don't make a right. You know, if you made the mistake once, there's no way you're going to now keep quiet and not say what needs to be said. And I think that's a call even to any nurses and doctors that are watching. You'd rather say it as it is. So
And,
that
try and manage and move to the next place where it could have. Because actually what I came to find out is through my, because I'm constantly in hospital.
Yeah.
So a lot of doctors who told me, you know, mothers actually go into acute renal failure, either during childbirth or it happens because sometimes the body can go into shock, either also because of bleeding during giving birth.
Yeah.
So it does happen, but it's the management after, and you're able to recover your kidney function back. But you see, my management was very poor, and the duration of time was also very long. 2 months is very, very long.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, throughout this season, how has, you know, and I think, you know, there's one time we did interview a caregiver and they were talking about the trauma involved even in the whole process. So did you have a support system? Do you have a support system that is helping you even through it, that helped you through that season?
So I have a small but very strong supportive system. So I have my husband and my mom,
Yeah.
and a few close friends, and of course my child. Yes. Yeah, my child she might not know, but she is. Yeah.
A support system
She
of
is,
its own.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of God when He's taking us through whatever seasons that we could be going through. There's always glimpses of reminding us that we are never alone. And He can use the simplest things just to nourish us in ways that we never even thought possible.
Very true.
So I think that's the beauty of being through the fire and not getting burned, being through the waters and the waves not overwhelming you, because God was not shocked. He was not, it was not like, oh, it has happened. It was more of He knew, and He gave you strength and grace equal to everything that is ahead. And I think yours is a journey, it's a testimony, it's a journey of victory, because even from how you're speaking and this journey and how it has been, and from what God took you away from, I mean, it can only mean that He will use your story as a big testimony.
He does.
Yes, for sure. And, now we can talk about the dialysis process and how often do you have to go back to the hospital? How is that like? How is the management like?
So dialysis is very hectic. I started off, so after the 3 months, the doctor told me we can't recover your kidneys, so we have to think of either transplant or you manage yourself on dialysis. So I now moved from 3 times, I started going 2 times. So I did that for about a year, but I was doing very, very poorly. I was wasted. I had lost weight. I never used to sleep. My pressure was all over the place. Like I was constantly ill. So after a year, the doctor realized, so what dialysis does is to now clean out what your kidneys would do. So the doctor realized that part of your waste is called creatinine. My creatinine was always high. My urea was constantly high, despite me following the diet, the renal diet. And following through with my dialysis, I never missed any session.
Yeah.
My numbers were still crazy. So he said, and I was losing so much weight. At some point, I almost got to 40 kilos. Yeah. So he said, this is not good, because I couldn't eat. What urea does, it makes you nauseous throughout. So you can't eat, you can't keep food down, you can't stand the smell of food, you don't sleep. So the doctor said, you're not doing very well. And then what happens also is your blood pressure keeps fluctuating during dialysis. So he said, I think you need to consider going back to doing dialysis 3 times so that we can bring these numbers down and you're able to eat and you're able to gain weight. So I started doing dialysis 3 times now last year. And the improvement was like night and day. I actually now gained back my weight.
You look good.
Yeah. Before all this happened, I used to be 72 kilos. And then all this happened and I dropped almost 32 kilos. I was at some point almost 40 kilos. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So went back to 3 times and then now at least my numbers started making sense. My creatinine went down, my urea went down, my appetite came back. I started sleeping better.
Yeah.
My skin improved. So things just started kind of falling back in place, but now it means more time away from home.
True.
More time in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, now there's the flip side of it, which is like, well, maybe I can handle this kidogo.
It becomes a lot. You never sit and feel like you're comfortable. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. 12 hours a week is a lot of time. Because one session is 4 hours. Not counting travel time, prep time, because they have to prepare you for the session. So there's the disinfection, there's the connecting you to the machine, and then there's the disconnection. They have to sterilize and clean you up and cover you up. And then now there's the time now to travel back home. So it's actually more than 12 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's hectic in
It's very hectic. So you can't keep a job even because
it's hard.
Yes. 3 times a week I'm going to the renal. Yeah.
Wow, 3 times a week.
Yes. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's all I do. Yeah.
And actually Tuesday is the day we've even managed to find you. And you are here.
Yes.
I made that's such a huge sacrifice because you could have just been chilling because it's just so hard. But you coming out, I see so much strength, and that strength is coming from the fact that God is in you, like He's with you throughout this process. And I think that's the beauty of it. And maybe just talk to us about that, those glimpses of hope, those moments whereby you did say there are bad days and good days.
They are.
Tell us about the good days.
So the good days are the days I get to feel, I can't say normal, but I'll use that word. The days I get to feel normal. And these are the days I get to wake up and do things like any other person.
Yeah.
And these are Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturday, and Sunday. Depending on the days, dialysis doesn't hit me hard. Because there are days I'll go for dialysis maybe like on Monday, and then Tuesday I just can't surface. I can't do anything. The only energy I have is to get out of bed, get breakfast, and lie on the couch. I can't move. But the days I wake up and I'm able to go about, do a few things, those are my good days. Yeah.
Wow. And I think that gives us a bit of a hope even in the midst of it all.
It does.
Yeah. And I think there's a question that I'm really having in my head about your relationship with God throughout all this. Because I think one of the most difficult things is to believe that God loves me, but yet I'm having to go through this. So how have you maneuvered through still believing that He's the source of your strength, regardless?
It's that is a very, very, very big and hard question.
Yeah.
But it's not to say that it's the biggest part of this journey, my relationship with God. So when all this is happening, you go through different phases.
Yeah.
So when I was in hospital, it's constant prayer and just talking to God and asking God to give you direction and to show you the way. Like, why is this happening?
Yeah, it's okay. We can take a little bit of a short break, and even as we continue to listen to this amazing story from this beautiful woman, she has so much strength in her, and I know that you are being inspired. So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we still have more to talk about. So please don't go far.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, it becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find a balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Sindio?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on Leadership Forum. Do they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcast?
Really? Even which of the what?
I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out the latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform or directly on our website, www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
One of the things that's really been hitting me as a theme and thesis that runs through the Treatise of Truth when you fly 30,000 feet up studying the scriptures is this theme of rest. You remember when Moses and the Israelites, about 3 million of them, were at Migdol, Pihahiroth, between a rock and a hard place, the Red Sea on one side, the Egyptian charioteers on the other. They thought they were going to die, but what did God say? Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You don't even have to fight this battle. What's the message? Stillness is the key. Find rest. Then you look at Psalm 46, verse 10. The psalmist says, be still and know that I am God, speaking in the voice of the Lord. You see Jehoshaphat. Remember when he was encountered by a conglomeration and amalgamation, this convocation of congregations that came against him, various nations teaming up, like a Marvel power team up, coming against him. And he said, Lord, we don't know what to do, but our eyes are on you. And the Spirit of the Lord came on a prophet and said, you don't need to fight this battle. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And the worship team went out and the enemy army actually defeated itself. What I'm getting at is simply this. There's this theme through scripture, be still. Be still, stand still. You don't have to work out your problems. You have to work out your salvation. Do weight training, WAIT training, weight training. That's actually when you start to see the salvation of the Lord. I believe that when we rest, that's when God does his best work. But when we're too busy working out our own problems, that's when God rests and takes his hands off. That's why Jesus, right before he gave his only autobiographical description and depictor of himself, when he said, I am meek and lowly in heart, he said, come to me and I will give you rest. What did Jesus say? I am Lord of Sabaoth. I am the Lord of rest.
All right, we are back and still having this very inspirational conversation. I mean, we are literally 30 minutes through, like halfway through, but there's so much information that is, making my mind spiral, because I'm like, I mean, sometimes we think we know what this situation, renal patients have to go through, but the truth of the matter is we don't really know until we hear from the horse's mouth and the struggles that are involved with it. But today our story is of victory, and at the end of it all, we are still testifying that God, even through it all, even through the fire, he's still the fourth man in the fire irregardless. So we are coming back, and obviously you can definitely reach out if you have anything to say. If you have any feedback, you can definitely send in. The number is 0708 222 and I will be glad to read your feedback. So Wendy, we are back, and I think we are just at the point of talking about your spiritual journey even through all this, and your relationship with God even through all this. How has it been?
So like I said, God has been part of this journey.
Yeah.
And through the different phases of this journey, because this journey is not a straight road. It's
True.
a journey that you don't know even the next hour.
Yeah.
How you'll be feeling, what's going to happen. You literally could move from good to hospital admission, or from very bad to up and about.
Yeah.
So, as I was saying, when I was in ICU, there was a lot of talking to God and asking God, please take over, like show me the way, get me out of here. I had never been in hospital for that long. So it's asking God, what has happened? Where are you, God? Please take over. And then moving from that first facility and telling God, thank you, at least I made it out of ICU. Because at some point, I even started telling my mom when she used to come and see me, I'm ready to leave, like I am done. Because I thought this is how my life is going to end. And when I left the hospital, I told God, thank you, I am still alive.
Yeah.
Moved to the next hospital and I could see progress. I remember the first time I saw the sun after 2 months. because in ICU you don't see outside, there are no windows. You're literally like in a cube. You don't see any other person apart from the nurses and the doctors, and now my mom and my husband, who are only allowed to visit me.
Yeah.
So I hadn't seen the sun for 2 months. I hadn't smelled fresh air for 2 months.
Yeah.
I hadn't stood from my bed for 2 months. So when I stood up for the first time, I told God, thank you. This is definitely you. Who else would it be? And I asked him, now you have moved me from bedridden, I'm now standing. Could you now just take over this illness? Because now I actually didn't quite understand. Am I going to get better? Is it going to improve? But I just told him, just take me back to where I was.
Yeah.
But it never happened. So throughout, it's asking God, are you really there? Why me? Why is this happening? So there was a lot of that. Sometimes you want to pray, it's really hard. And I have a friend who prays a lot for me.
Yeah.
And I told her, sometimes it's very hard for me to pray because I don't know if God hears.
Yeah.
And there are times you'll sit and you'll pray and you'll tell God, I know that you're there, but do you hear me? So we've had those moments, but all in all, I know I am sitting here because of the grace of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, through the tears and through just the journey, I mean, I was just mentioning it's even difficult to listen because I know it's intense and it's hard. And it's really, really hard. But you know, you've mentioned something so profound, that you're here because of the grace of God.
Yes.
And you know, what your story has reminded me of is Paul asking God, take away this thorn of flesh. Like, take it away. We look at Paul and everything that he had to go through. In fact, at his conversion, God says to this guy, Ananias, and tells him, you must tell him how much he has to suffer for me. So there are moments when God will allow us to go through these seasons.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean he's not there. It doesn't mean he doesn't hear us. It doesn't mean he doesn't listen. He actually literally says, I'm choosing her because I know I'll give her the strength to go through it. And even Paul saying, take away this thorn of flesh, we don't know what really it was. Some say it was an illness, some say it was a disability, some say it was something that he was struggling with. But then God's answer is what personally even has taken me through the tough times. My grace is sufficient because in your weakness, then I am strong. So when we really can't do it, when we're just coming to the end of ourselves, that's where God begins. So it's just a word of encouragement because I know God hears. Sometimes even the tears themselves are words, and God can hear them. He can hear every word of it. And I believe that this is not just something that has just happened for the sake of happening. It's because God is bringing out something. He's bringing a story from it. One day you will stand in front of people and tell them, I'm here because God did. I'm here because I know that God is able to walk with you through the fire.
Amen.
And I remember there's a story that we usually love to share during our devotions, that when you were walking, it's the story of the footsteps, that there were always 4 footsteps in this guy. Whenever he went, he would see that God was with him. Always seeing his footsteps and those of Jesus. When they're going through the good times, you feel God is with me. You can feel it because things are going on well.
True.
But then what happens when things are going haywire?
You wonder.
God, where are you? And this guy, he saw only 2 footsteps. And the whole time he was going through it, only 2. He can't see the rest of the 2. And he's wondering, for crying out loud, when I was good, you were with me. So where are you now?
Where are you?
And then he goes back to now the good seasons, and all of a sudden it's 4 footsteps again. And he asks Jesus, how could you do this to me? How could you leave me? And then this story ends in such a profound way because Jesus tells him that the 2 footsteps you saw were not yours. They were mine, and I was carrying you. So God is never absent.
true.
He's literally carrying you. That's why you're here. That's because you're in his arms. So
Yes.
whenever you're praying, whenever you're seeking, he hears you and he sees every tear. He has literally decided to choose you for this particular journey,
Yes.
because he knows it is through you that so many people will be encouraged. So
Amen.
we don't usually do this where I begin to encourage, but I just felt it in my spirit to say that because you are a strong woman, not because of your own strength,
It's
but
true.
because of the strength of God in you. And you can be sure that God is really going to turn your story around. He may not even answer the way we want him to.
That's true.
But he still answers. He still does something. And now that you've come out, it's saying, I'm freeing myself of this. It can no longer bring me down. It's to use it for God's glory. And God gets the glory.
Amen.
I mean, you remember even the story of Martha and Mary asking Jesus, why did you come late? You should have come earlier. You know, why did you let Lazarus pass on? But I remember Jesus telling the disciples, it has happened so that God gets the glory. It has happened so that your miracle will be bigger, your testimony will be greater.
Amen.
So, I mean, I feel so strongly that God is doing something wonderful. And these 3 years, he has been carrying you.
He has.
He has
He
never
has.
left you. That's why he's put people who pray for you, your husband, your mom, your support system.
True.
He has never left your baby. He has
Yes.
never left you alone.
He has never left me, actually.
Yeah.
All these people around me,
Yeah,
I know these are signs that he is there,
he is.
and he definitely does not do what we want him to do. He will do
Yeah.
what he has planned to do. It's just for us to be patient.
Yeah.
But you know, with human nature, you want it when you want it.
It's true.
But we have to wait for God's timing. So
Yeah.
that's been my journey and my faith. Well, there are times you are rock bottom. There are times,
Yeah.
but I guess life is like that. Life is never
Yeah.
straight. Like, So that has been my faith. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. So much strength is in you. And, you know, we were just about to bring you some water, and you mentioned that no. And in my head, I'm thinking, among the things that she probably will advise us to do is take lots of water. I was looking forward to that. But, you know, let us get down to those mini struggles that sometimes people don't even know about. Aside from just the dialysis, what are those other nitty-gritties of things you have to also be careful about as you go through this process?
So a lot of what makes up your life and making either you're comfortable or you're not.
Yeah.
Despite dialysis is not fun. It's very hectic.
Yeah.
It's very torturous to the body. But you can get a balance, if I may call it that. So you have to follow the renal diet, which is very strict. So one of the things is you have to be on very limited fluid intake, because one of the functions of your kidney is to get rid of excess water from your body or waste from your body through urine. So when your kidneys are not functioning, what it means is your body is not able to get rid of that water or get rid of that waste in form of urine. So when you drink, you eat foods like soups, all that fluid is kept within your body. For some people, the fluid is kept in their upper body. For some people, the fluid it goes now to your lower body, so you find your legs are swollen. So this is in between your days, your dialysis days. So you have to really watch out on your fluid intake. So what that means is you can't keep taking water anyhowly. And even when you take, it has to be very minimal. Yeah, so that's why when you asked if I could have water, I said I've already had my water for my morning.
Yeah.
And then now my next intake will be after my lunch, which will be a very small amount. And then in the evening. But there are people who are not able to control. So you find by the time you're going for your dialysis, you have about 4 liters to get out.
Oh my.
Yeah, and there are people who pass urine and people who don't. So, yeah, when you don't pass urine, it means every ounce that you take stays in your body. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's quite a journey in itself.
It is.
I mean, oh.
Yes, because what happens is when you have fluid overload, you feel like you're drowning because the water now goes into your lungs. So you're not able to breathe. You're not able. You have to go to the hospital. So to avoid those emergencies, sometimes you might make it, you might not make it.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes very complicated. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a very delicate balance.
Yeah.
You also have to watch out on what you eat. The diet is very strict. You can't have red meat. You can't have root vegetables. So anything that grows in the soil, you can't eat.
What?
Apart from carrots.
What?
Yes.
Oh my.
So that's like all the starches, your sweet potatoes, your arrowroots, pumpkins. You can't have that because of high potassium. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very tight diet.
It is.
It must be very tight and sometimes even expensive.
It is.
Because
It
I
is.
mean, getting the right amount of food can sometimes really be expensive.
Actually, for us, it's not even the amount because even
The type, yeah.
even the quantities you have to eat are very minimal. Yeah, because you see, like meat still has meat when it's broken down, it will have urea. So you can't say because now I'm not eating red meat, I'll go and eat a full chicken. Because when the body breaks it down, then there's a lot of urea in your blood. Yeah. So you
Wow.
have to control your portions, and you also have to control, the amount of protein you eat, for example. Yes. Yeah. So also what it means is you can't, like for me, I don't go to social gatherings because you will not eat anything.
It's true.
Because you see, like a simple meal, like you might make chicken and maybe rice, but you've used so many tomatoes. I'm not supposed to eat tomatoes. So even how the food is prepared is very important. So you'll find you can't explain that to everybody. Not everybody will understand. Somebody wants to host you, but you might not be able. You will say, okay, make chicken, but the way they make it is not how you're supposed to eat it. My food has to have very low salt. Yeah. So there's so many intricate details that to avoid all the hula baloo of, oh, why are you not eating this? Oh, I made chicken. You said you're chicken, but you're not eating. I just avoid social gatherings. Yeah.
Oof, wow, that means your meal has to be prepared separately and all that.
Yes.
Wow, I mean, that's quite a journey.
It is.
Really quite a journey.
It is.
And I think, I have a friend who has to also go through the whole process. They don't really tell me this much.
Yes, it's a lot.
But I'm like, there's so much that they put aside. They just talk about the dialysis and all, but there's just so much that is involved and around it and everything.
It's basically how you do everything. Because you see, even from the time I wake up to what I eat for breakfast, what I do after that, for you to just go and be with other people, it takes a lot of grace.
True.
Which means most of the time you'll find we tend to keep to ourselves or with people who understand.
Yeah.
And it's a very small circle.
Very.
Because most of the time you're tired. That is one thing people don't understand. You could just wake up and you're tired. Why? Because dialysis gets rid of everything in your blood, even the good. So all your vitamin, all your blood sugar, it just cleans you and leaves you like clean with nothing. So you have to build up every day. Build up your glucose, build up everything, your sugars, everything.
Yeah.
So after dialysis, somebody might say, hey, can you come over for lunch? You can't. You need to go and lie down for another 3 hours.
Yeah.
Then the next day, you might wake up, your pressure is either very high, most of the times mine is very low. And when my pressure is very low, I tend to be very lightheaded. So that means I can't go walking around. So you see, I'll wake up and I'm tired, but you will not understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I feel like shaking the hand of your husband because I'm imagining through all this, because it cannot be easy.
No, it's not.
It's a lot in itself for him as a partner. But even through all this happening, how has the relationship been like? if you're okay sharing, like just the whole situation, because now he's like your primary caregiver, basically. So, yeah.
What I'd say is I think my husband has handled it with a lot of grace. He's generally a very graceful person. Wow. So I think that was a plus.
Yeah.
Another thing of God putting the right people by me, because it takes a lot from you.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So even before he leaves, he has to make sure I'm okay. If I'm not okay, he'll not be okay at work. He'll have to keep calling, and sometimes even calling my daughter. How is mommy now? Has mommy eaten? What is mommy doing? Mommy is asleep. So he has to keep checking.
Yeah.
Then it also means taking up a lot of the physical chores in the house, like going for shopping. The days I'm down, he'll have to pick up, because we have a child we're bringing up, so we can't be looking at each other.
True.
The home needs to run.
Yeah.
So he takes up the duties, and he takes them up with grace. So that has really helped, and also being very sensitive to my needs. For example, if I come from dialysis and my pressure is very low, he'll keep checking. He'll wake up at night and say, let's check if your pressure has gone back to normal. Do you need medication? What can I get for you? So just helping here and there. It helps a lot when you have a partner who understands the journey.
Yeah.
And also sometimes doesn't look at you like a patient, because also that tends to take a toll on you. So just look at you like a partner and support you when you need. Yeah, there are days I'll be on 20%, he'll have to bring in the 80.
Yeah.
The days I'm on 50, bring in the other 50. There are days I'm on 70, he's on 30. So we just balance each other out like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a blessing. That's a huge blessing.
It is.
Because not many would carry that with grace.
Not many do. Not many do, actually.
Not many do. Even now, even some of them who are going through the whole process.
Yes.
I mean, this can only happen when you have God-ordained partners in your life to carry you through it. And I just see, I don't know, you guys in some years to come, you'll be standing on podiums and encouraging people. I mean, I just see that so much. Because for me, one thing I've always known, anyone who God has taken through this very tough journeys, because no one in the Bible had it smooth. I mean, none of them.
Yeah.
But then we see how their story ends, and it definitely is a story of victory and testimony.
Amen.
So we are almost gearing up to the end, but I would really love for you to communicate what's that one thing you need from the people, the help that they can give that can be of great assistance to you and to make life easier for you as well. So that's your camera, and you can talk to the people.
So my appeal to Kenyans is I am looking for a willing kidney donor, so that I can have a kidney transplant. To kind of give me a second chance in life. Dialysis, as I have talked about, is very hectic. And the transplant will make my life a little bit bearable, because now what it means is I'll be managing myself now on medication once I get the graft. So I'm looking for any willing donor, blood group O positive, B positive, or B.
Okay.
You can reach me on my number.
Yes.
Which is 0722 790 949.
Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful. I think I'm just going to say that number once again, so that anyone who missed it can write it down. 0722 790949.
Yes.
Is that it? Okay, 0722 790949. If this interview and this conversation we've had with Wendy has touched your heart, inspired you in one way or another, and you feel in your spirit, you feel the conviction that indeed I need to offer help and I need to extend a hand of help, please do not hesitate. Do not even wait for one more day. Just call this number, or you can just write to us directly so that we can make the connections happen. And I believe that indeed God will continue seeing Wendy through. God has been with her all along, and he will continue to be with her. I would really love to read some of the comments that have come in, and I see Phyllis Mboya saying, hugs my home girl Wendy, you're such an amazing person, you give us so much hope for different journeys. I mean, look at that. God bringing out hope from your story. And I also see Mary Karaoke and Asema, hugs dear, all will be well because we are not giving up. We are warriors and we will conquer. Asema, keep fighting, my dear. Nina Theuri here saying, you're a conqueror, Wendy, and your resilience is incredible. It's true that God's power is made perfect in weakness. And that's the beauty of it. It's the power of God being made perfect in our weaknesses. When we can't, he can.
Yes.
When we don't have the strength, he gives us. He literally says in his word, I will give you my strength. There's a part in Deuteronomy that says that as thy days, so shall thy strength be. So whatever it is you're ever going to face in this life,
The strength.
will also carry you through.
Blessings.
It is the same. It is never ati moja iko juu ingine iko chini. No, as thy days, so shall thy strength be. And I pray that that word continues to encourage you, and knowing that that thorn of flesh, God is saying, I mean, my strength is made perfect in your weakness. And you're inspiring so many people, and not just even the ones who have kidney failure, but even whatever it is that they could be going through.
Yeah.
God is definitely going to bring anointing from your story.
Amen.
For grapes to produce wine, they have to go through the crushing.
Yes.
Sometimes the crushing is hard, it's ugly, it's difficult. But then what comes out is wine,
Yes.
and it can never spoil. In fact, as it continues,
Ages beautifully.
exactly. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being vulnerable, for sharing your story, and you did so well. Being the first time you're sharing this story publicly,
Yeah.
your courage is just so beautiful, because courage is doing it afraid.
True.
Doing it anyway,
Yes.
through all the emotions.
Yes. Everything.
But you did it, and you did it well. So thank you so much for honoring us with your amazing visit. Thank you for saying yes to God's call, because I believe this was a walk of obedience and just saying, God, you know what? I'm going to use this for your glory. And trust me, God is going to flip that story. You will be shocked at what he will do. You will tell me, you will testify. I'm 100% sure of that.
For sure, I will.
Yes.
I will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so thank you so much, Wendy. We really appreciate. I don't know if you're on social media, you'd love to share. People can find you anywhere aside from your contact.
So I am on Instagram. Same. Wendy
Yeah.
Mwelu. So
Okay.
anybody can reach me on Instagram as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Now we've come to the end of the show, unfortunately, but this has been so good, so inspiring. I mean, I need to sit still and just meditate on what just happened in
It's a
this
lot.
set. It's definitely a lot, but we thank God for the strength even to carry through all the way to the end. So thank you, our amazing viewers, for watching. We really appreciate all the amazing feedback and all the sweet words that you guys have sent. And we continue to do this each and every Tuesday, one day at a time. And she has taken it a day at a time, hasn't she? And
have.
we are still moving a day at a time, moving forward, because we know we are never alone. God is always carrying us through every season and every difficulty that we may go through. He didn't say the weapon will not be formed. He said it will not prosper. So definitely we keep moving. And as one of you has rightfully said, we are not giving up. We are fighters and we are warriors, because he who is in us is greater than he who is in the world. So we've come to the end of the show, and thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Beatrice Nudi. We're gonna be seeing you tomorrow, wakati tu kama huu, 7 to 9 on the Christian walk. So please do have a blessed day ahead. See you guys tomorrow.